I've not seen her this year. All right, welcome back. Like I said, it's going to be a slightly different show today because we've got some very, very exciting guests in the house. You just want to ask out there, how is your day coming? I hope your day is as beautiful and as pleasant as ours. Right here in the studio, the atmosphere is electric because we've got Barbara in the house. Whoa, it's good to see you after, like how many months? Yeah, very, very good. You brought out a part of me that has been hidden for quite a while, all this official. Very good to see you.
Likewise, dear.
Yeah. Okay, right here in the house, we've got some very, very special guests. Before I introduce them, I just want to talk about what we're going to be speaking about. Generally, in today's world, a lot of people are going through different kind of challenges, which really they cannot even place a finger on. And in a society like ours, which is challenged on all ends, you discover that a lot of people go through a lot and they cannot even define what they are going through. However, we've also realized that people frown at what they don't understand, they fight what they don't understand, and sometimes they ostracize what they don't understand. Today we'll be talking a bit about stigmatization, and it's got to do with stigmatization on mental health illnesses and drug abuse related. So to help us trash out this very, very very important subject that is very widespread in our society, I have a group of young men and women. We have a very full house here. But I'll let them tell us their names, they introduce themselves, then we take it off from there. Yes. Let me start with you, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, listeners. My name is Folashayo Ayegbayo. I'm a lecturer in Lagos State College of Health Technology, Yaba in Lagos here. And I also have with me...
I am Tudonu Jefta, an advocate against the stigmatization of people with mental illness and drug abuse.
I am Onaniwa Alexandra, an advocate of mental abuse and stigmatization on people living with mental illnesses.
Okay, thank you so much. Just in case you're wondering who are these comrades, I had two comrades, right?
Advocates.
Yeah, two advocates. Yeah, two advocates. They are very, very young people who are doing very, very great things in their little space. They are students, and they are onto something very big, and which I would like to share with you as we go on. Now, before we go on, I'll just give you some very, very interesting information about mental health, and I'll be going to the US of A because, for reasons being that we don't have enough statistics on this part of the world, but we'll try to juxtapose what is going out there when what is being referred to as sane climbs or saner climbs, and try to see the impact, how it can play out in this part of the world. According to the medical news today, there's a growing number of people experiencing a decline in their mental health. And because of this, society is becoming better equipped to respond to their needs. And that's what I think those in the studio today are trying to do. But however, the stigma around mental illness and seeking help remains. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and we've heard that over and again in recent times, CDC, mental illness is among the most common health conditions in the United States. Now, this is mind-blowing. It says that more than 50% of US adults will need mental health treatment at some point during their lifetime. Now, if you look at 50% in the US, you can imagine what is possible within this space. In addition, 1 in 25 are currently living with a serious mental illness, and they categorize them such as eating disorder, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, or major depression. In addition, they say a national survey estimates that 11.2% of all U.S. adults report regularly feeling some form of worry, nervousness, or anxiety, while 4.7% report frequently experiencing sadness or symptoms of depression. Now, and it goes on and on and on. I want us to bring this home. If we have such alarming statistics out there, which is categorized as advanced countries, I think right here it should give us some concern. But before we do that, I would like to find out, when we talk about mental health illness, what exactly are we trying to express or speak to?
Thank you very much, Chris. The question of mental health is something that needs much more attention than it's been given to it. If you look at the World Health Organization's definition of health, it has certain elements talking about physical well-being, mental well-being, and also social well-being. Some people have also added emotional, even spiritual well-being. Which means health is not just about you not having any infirmity, not having fever. So which means for you to be said to be healthy, your mental composure, your social balance, and your physical health must be taken into account. So which means if we are just concerned, resources have been spent on our physical well-being alone, and we leave mental well-being out of it, definitely it shows we are not doing enough. And into this,
okay, before you even go on, before you even go into the problems and all that, if we're talking mental health, what are the things we should look out for exactly? Because it looks a bit very, very vague when you say mental health. In fact, to the ordinary man out there, once the issue of mental health comes up, the first thing that comes in is that the person is mentally unbalanced. Or no, mentally unbalanced is not even the word I'm looking at here. Is
lunatic.
Insane. Is insane, exactly. So when we talk about mental health, what exactly should we be looking at?
Now, the issue involving mental health can be as minor as when someone is unable to sleep well.
Okay.
Can be as negligible, so to say, as when somebody is either not eating well or is eating too much. And nobody will raise eyebrows. Eating disorders on both ends, either not having too much of it or starving yourself also. So it can be as small or negligible, which we feel is unimportant, to when it now becomes something like depression. In which the person is losing, to the point where the person may be losing touch with reality. So which means mental health, we can look at it from neurotic aspect, which are the very mild things we see, to psychotic aspect, which of course are the more serious ones, like all the bipolar disorder, other forms of psychosis, and the rest of them.
So what you're trying to imply is that if we don't pay attention to those small ones, it could degenerate to that point.
Exactly.
And we should, because things like eating disorders, sleeping disorders, they are widespread in society. In fact, you don't even need to get too much of mental stress to not sleep. Generators alone can lead to sleeping disorders. The level of awareness and consciousness across board, especially in this part of the world. We already have statistics showing what is obtainable out there. But in your field, you just mentioned something now, that in health centers, we are expected to be, you don't see any health.
Much of that.
Yes,
at the primary
primary level. And it's expected that it should be widespread. So what do you think is the level of awareness? And do you think there is a need for us to start putting on the emergency buttons?
Thank you very much. In the real sense of it, the government in Nigeria, let me say a state like Lagos and some other states in the country, they are really trying. they are putting so much of their resources into healthcare. If you see the health budget of Lagos at some point, go to the Lagos State website, Lagos State government website, you will see how much is being given or budgeted for healthcare. And of course, it shows so much is being done. But definitely, so much at times may not actually take care of everything. And again, it's one thing for government to be putting resources into healthcare. It's another thing for people to actually be aware that they can access that care. Mental health care may not be totally absent at these various levels of care, but the point is, are the people in the community, are they taking advantage of it? So which goes to the level of awareness that you've just talked about. So if people are not aware, they don't know, the earth-seeking behavior on the part of the people is so much low, and you can't even perceive it. So that means something has to be done to make people to actually, so because you discover that all these things, you never can say. There may be specialists there. Of course, a family care specialist is been trained to take care of all aspects.
Some kind of generalist.
Exactly. So, and which means once he discovered this person has this problem, his job is to refer you to a specialist
in that
in
area.
a specialist hospital, psychiatric hospital that can take care of you more deeply. So, but people don't take advantage of that, and this is one gap that we feel we should rise up and fill to popularize mental health care within the communities.
Okay, you mentioned, we did mention drug abuse.
Yes.
Is there any correlation between mental health and drug abuse?
Of course, a lot of correlation, a lot of association.
Because, sorry to cut you short, you agree with me that there is a rise in the abuse of drug, especially among young people.
Exactly.
There's an astronomical rise. Yes. So is there any correlation between mental health and drug abuse?
When you look at drugs that are being abused, the more the government agencies like the NDLEA, they are doing so much beautiful job to, trace drug peddlers, seize their consignments, and all. People are devising means, young people especially.
Yeah.
They are devising means to create other forms of, how to get themselves high. All those words out there, all the various forms of drugs, even with the government putting them under this list of banned commodities, so contrabands, I think that's what they call it. So still, people still smuggle these things in, and you see young people. When you see a young man going along on the streets carrying a pet bottle, you think it's Coca-Cola that is there. It's a mixture. And the whole thing, our hip-hop lifestyle. You work with students, right? Exactly, yes. So, our hip-hop lifestyle is still even not helping the matter. Are you a science student? And you know what that actually is talking about. Science students, multiple chemical, all those things. Which, of course, a particular section of youth, they see it as something they must go into. I have had experiences with young people who have been my students in the past, who could not even complete their education because they got derailed, and people that I know at the community level, even within the family, that almost got their destiny ruined, if not for God, that's an intervention of their families. So you see that this is very highly prevalent among the youths, and a lot of, I think we need more than a miracle to actually stem the tide.
Okay, now there's a surge in the number of people who are involved in drugs. There's a surge in mental health issues, right? So the question now is, what can an individual do to start understanding more about mental health? What can an individual do?
An individual, at least if there is someone out there listening to us at this time, what he or she needs to do. Because one other thing is that you don't need to lose the sight that drug abuse is not only among boys, it involves girls also, even adults. But we want to actually focus on the young people, and there are so much help out there.
I can hear it. Go. Yeah.
There's so much help that you can get, sources where you can get help. The internet has given us a lot of resources in which if you have any problem, you know you cannot sleep, you notice that your sleep pattern is being affected.
Yeah.
You read up about it. In as much as that is not saying you should self-medicate, but read up, know about your body system. Oh, do I need to quickly seek for help at this stage? And I think that is just one thing one can do for yourself. And also, talking about individual level, parents, adults, you have young people under your care, you need to really be very observant. Because the moment you see a young man is keeping more to himself, a young girl is keeping more to herself, she might be going through something that is affecting her mentally, and she's not sharing it with you. So it is your level of observation that will help you to, place a finger on whatever is going wrong and be able to help.
Okay, now let's talk a bit about stigmatization.
Okay.
Yeah, because since we have a prevalence of mental health illnesses, it's also possible that because people do not understand what it means, they are likely to fight it the wrong way.
Yes.
And one of the ways they do it is stereotyping, ostracizing, or just labeling them as different. Right? So, but what is your opinion about the level of stigmatization in this part of the country?
Thank you. Stigmatization is what I personally would say is born out of ignorance, and it's becoming cultural and systemic. When you see a mother whose child is showing signs of, I've seen an example like that. There was a time a student lost it, I think during an exam period. We got her to the hospital and got in touch with the family. The mother was able to come around. And when the mother came, what do you expect a mother to do? But because of the nature of the hospital where she was taken to, psychiatric hospital, the mother started cursing the girl. You are putting our family to shame. That is one level of stigmatization. That what kind of sickness is this that is making you to come to these people? Even my enemy, I don't pray for this kind of thing for them. You see that level of ignorance, that level of in which we bring in. I'm not saying it's not good to be religious. I'm not saying it's not good to be prayerful. You pray and you still seek for help. Okay, so you see people who are sick, who need psychiatric or psychological attention, attention of an expert, and you still find them being taken to homes, church homes and other places where they will be flogged, whereas that's not what they need. So these are some of the things we are doing, our practices. And when we talk about stigma, I used another word. I said it's now systemic. There was one that happened in my neighborhood. A girl, a 16-year-old girl, was raped. Not only is she an underage, she is also mentally challenged.
Wow.
She was raped by a motorcyclist, took her into, and some of us living around got to know about it. Other guys have already started doing jungle justice, but we were able to intervene, got him, took him to the police station. Unfortunately, getting to the police station, we thought that was the right route to go. When the girl was asked, knowing that she was mentally challenged, and she was trying to describe what the man did to her, come and see how the whole station erupted into laughter. They even made us to be ashamed that we brought such a person to the station. So what I needed to do at that time was to call up the particular agency within the Ministry of Justice in Lagos State to take up the matter. They look at all this domestic violence against children and women, and so they took it up, and we were able to achieve something with that. So that is it. The policeman literally told us that you can't do anything with this. That's who is going to take this girl seriously. Another one was in the news recently, I think about a week or two now, where an officer of the law, they got a rapist arrested. He raped a mentally challenged woman also, and he took the law into his hands. He's saying it's either we take you to court, get you prosecuted, or we force you to marry the woman. I don't know when forcing a rapist to marry his victim becomes a punishment for the offender. But he thought the fact that the woman is mentally challenged is enough punishment. No. A rapist is a rapist. A rapist should be made to face the law. Full wrath of the law.
Yeah.
Not that now you will now be thinking, that is another level of stigmatization. What if the man raped a sane person? Will you still say let's force him to marry?
Yeah, so what you're implying is that some cultures,
Our culture promotes stigma naturally, and of course we take that into our even secular engagement. It affects our judgment. What we should be objective about, we now bring our cultural biases and religious biases and everything, and we just make rubbish, nonsense of the whole thing.
Okay, this is getting more interesting because you've made it clear that there's not enough level of awareness in this respect.
Yeah.
However, that story you brought up about somebody who raped and the person who was raped.
Yeah.
Is there any provision for what's the role of therapy in ensuring that we deal with issues of mental health on the one side? Because I'll still come back to stigmatization, because what you said was the guy that's raped,
Yes.
does he need help? The person that was raped, does she need help in this particular situation?
Exactly, for somebody to actually rise up and rape a lady, a man to rape a woman, I think it's both ways. A woman can rape a man too. So for somebody to think of doing that, it shows something may be wrong with that person also mentally. But again, it's a crime that is being committed, and we must not lose sight of that. So both